You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo!
My compliments, little lady.
Come here, sir. Come on, sir.
Break for 30 seconds.
Come here, sir.
Into transmission.
You're now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday, and I am your host, Angela Smarrito. And along with me, please welcome Chelsea Welsh with Florida Energy, Water and Air.
Yay. Good to be here.
So what's been going on? You've been sitting in the driver's seat for the last 2 weeks, and I am so blessed to have you do that.
It's been amazing. We've had the greatest time, from Florida Energy, Water and Air. We are getting ready to do the Florida Strawberry Festival, so we're really excited about that. And
when is that?
It is going to be the last week of February going into the first week of March. So it's like 11 days long.
And there's concert events
twice a day.
Right.
It's amazing. They're expecting, 650,000 people to come through.
Oh my gosh.
Huge. So we're really excited about that, really educating individuals on the importance of, really good water that's clean and really allows us to not have to worry about all those VOCs and PFAS and everything that everyone's talking about right now. So definitely on a mission to make sure that we're educating every single homeowner on the importance of a whole water system in their home.
I've been meaning to ask you, what is your service area?
So we service all the way into parts of Fort Lauderdale, all the way up into Tallahassee, except for we don't take care of Jacksonville and that DMA. That has another dealer, but definitely for those listening, there's definitely coverage for everyone out there.
And if somebody wants to get their water tested, how should they get in touch with somebody?
You can definitely give us a call. Our information's on the website, or you can go to myfewa, myfewa.com, and we're happy to come out, test your water, give you education on what's going on there.
Or find them at the Strawberry Festival and get a demo yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we're really excited to have Amy Eshleman with Coherence Counseling back in the studio with us today.
Amy.
Amy has been on the show once before, and we had a great show. So, again, her business is Coherence Counseling. So how have things been going?
Things have been going wonderful. Growing a new practice. Lots of things to learn and do, but I'm really excited about it, and some new things will be coming out, hopefully in the near future. So really excited for that.
Right. Well, let's just go ahead and re-educate the audience on what Coherence Counseling is.
Sure. Coherence Counseling is a group mental health practice. So currently it is myself and another therapist, and we primarily are assisting people with issues related to impact of trauma events, and that can be a whole host of things. Depression, anxiety, maybe some attachment or relational issues, and stress management too, because the coherence part, we're looking at what is going on with both the mind and the body.
Okay.
And so bringing coherence and regulation into that. So helpful.
Such a weird question. So what goes on in your mind, it can affect your body physically?
All the time.
Like, give us some examples, because I have a feeling this is happening to me.
All the time.
Chelsea's like, yes, I know.
Right. And it's not just from a difficult or scary place. It can also be from, something that's really great that's happening, So our nervous system holds the key to all of that stuff. So when we're, looking forward to something, our body has physiological changes, right? And the same way as when we experience something that's really scary, distressing, overwhelming, fearful, our body is going to respond to that as well. And in a lot of circumstances, the body does what it needs to do, calms down, goes back into a regulated state. The challenge is when we have a really overwhelming situation happen to us, or something that we would identify as a trauma, because that is, that traumas depend on how our brains perceive what's happening.
Sure.
So for you, something might be a trauma, for me might not, and vice versa.
Sure.
So when that happens, the body goes into specific states, and sometimes it doesn't come out of those states very well, and it can kind of get stuck. So coherence is about bringing that regulation back, so the body, the nervous system, can function in a more regulated state, and a person can notice when their body, their nervous system is getting out of regulation, and they're going to learn tools and skills on how to help themselves get back into a regulated state.
No, that's amazing. I mean, mental health is something that is affecting, I think, everybody. And in my opinion, which is neither here nor there, is I think it's just an overwealth of information that we have at our fingertips to try to process. It just doesn't feel natural to me that we, you know what I mean, every day we have, like I said, from politics to just social stuff to work to whatever, that our bodies weren't designed to process this much.
Just the media alone, right?
Right.
We're getting so many triggers. We're getting so many interactions, and the fear of missing out, right? We have to make sure, are we that individual that missed out on whatever that might be? And I think, to your point, that's just not what we as individuals or humans were kind of meant to interact with every day.
Oh yeah, I struggle personally with social media, the pros and cons, blessing and curse, and honestly I probably lean more on the line of it's a curse, because we're not meant to be bombarded with information 24/7. Our bodies and our brains do need breaks, and they do need time to process what's coming in, and so it just means we have to work a lot harder to put those boundaries up for ourselves.
Okay.
So I have lots of conversations with clients because, with the current political state and just things going on, it has been incredibly overwhelming to a number of people that I work with. And, we've just talked about ways to provide distance for themselves, and then to notice when they do come across information that is really difficult for them, how to help themselves, because there's a lot happening for us right now.
Do you feel like, since, we went through the COVID years, do you feel like you're seeing a lot more of that because of the way that we had to kind of deal with that stress of being kind of in our own environment, but then also the fear of not knowing, the fear of, there's just so many things that happen. Do you see like there's an increase currently of that type of concern, or,
Good question. I'm not entirely sure what the answer to that is. I kind of liken it to, I hope this is a good metaphor, to a turtle, and when a turtle, pulls back into its shell for protection. And, we've done that, with COVID and everything for a while, because we had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And information galore, good, bad, and otherwise. And so, I know it's been, 5 years, going on 6 years. Goodness.
I can't even believe it's been that long.
Right, since
crazy.
that came out. But I feel like it's a slow, coming out, and it's like the turtle starting to poke its head out of the shell and go like, okay, what's going on? What's
Is it
this
safe
look
out
like?
here?
Exactly. Is it safe out here? And so, and that's going to be a different speed for everybody. And I think about children and their educational impact, and just the socializing, and how challenging, those times were, and, continue to be, because, those were really important years that some of them, unfortunately missed out on.
Right. And then as far as your practice, I mean, do you work with patients of all ages?
So currently we are able to accept people ages 12 and up through, late, adulthood. I don't currently have anyone that works with the, younger group, but that can always change, because I'm looking at growing and expanding. So hopefully we will have someone on staff that will have that niche.
Right. And then go over again with me the different things that you said. You said like anxiety, depression. What were some of the other things that you?
Sure.
So what I want to do is kind of dive into each one of those a little bit, and and talk a little bit about like the conversations you have and how people coping mechanisms and things of that nature.
Okay.
I know we're going to go to break in about a minute, so let's just get let's premise it for the next segment.
Gotcha. Okay. Sure. So the overwhelming amount is looking at helping people deal with various trauma events. And again, that could be a one-time incident, such as a car accident, to something that went on chronic and for a longer period of time. All types of anxiety,
That's a
situations.
big one, right?
It's a huge one. And sometimes the trauma and the anxiety kind of feel like they go hand in hand, but there can certainly be anxiety without a trauma experience. Depression and relational issues, attachment.
All right. On that note, we're going to go to break. So everybody stay tuned, because we have more BaaD Radio coming up. Oh, welcome back to BaaD Radio. This portion of the show is brought to you by Body Street of Winter Park. Experience the future of fitness at Body Street in Winter Park. Lose weight, build muscle, tone your body in only 20 minutes a week. Visit bodystreet.us to sign up for your free trial.
We want to pump you up.
So, Chelsea, you have to tell us real quick about your experience at Body Street, because I saw your post. I was like,
I had the best time, but I think like you have to be pretty mentally strong because you were strapped into these out. And I literally told Stefan, I'm like, I loved it, but like I had to really like concentrate, but it was amazing. I felt great after. So I go again on Saturday.
Yeah, it was the first time I did it with my friend Melissa. We walked out. I had like endorphins. I was like, that was awesome. She goes, that was torture. I'm never going back again. So we're here with Amy Eshleman with Coherence Counseling, and what we're talking about is Body Street of Winter Park. There's a Body Street in Jupiter. There's one in Winter Garden, and now there's one in Mount Dora, and it's EMS, electromuscle stimulation. So it's a 20-minute workout. It's kind of like a TENS unit. I think I might have explained it to you before. So Chelsea hosted a show with Stefan, the owner, and he was that voice that you just heard. We're going to pump you up because he's from Germany. So he's fantastic. I love him. But yeah, it's hard, but it's 20 minutes. And then when you're done, you're like, that's it. I'm done for the week. I've done my due diligence for my physical health for the week. And then you can walk away and feel really good about yourself. But for 20 minutes, it's not the easiest thing in the world. I go today and I'm like, okay, I've missed a week or two. So, all right. So we're going to jump back in. And again, we're here with Amy Eshleman with Coherence Counseling. And I want to talk a little bit about trauma.
Okay.
So when you say trauma, you said it can be a one-time experience. It can be something that's ongoing. So when you talk to somebody about trauma, how do you go about like engaging them and getting them to actually open up?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's really never the first thing that we talk about.
Okay.
And I
kind of ease into it.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you don't need to tell me anything about the experience until you feel safe and ready to do so. But I do offer a lot of psychoeducational stuff. So we talk about all the various symptoms of trauma and whether they're experiencing that or maybe it was something in the past. We talk about what the brain does as a protective mechanism during the trauma experiences. And then we also talk about what that can look like when the brain gets re-triggered and goes through that even though it's not an actual trauma moment happening for them. And then we talk about the nervous system and the same things that the body is doing when it is re-triggered to think that there is a dangerous moment happening for them. And then we also look at what's called disassociation, because a lot of times that is also something that a person...
Disassociation, I remember you talking about that before. Remind me. Right.
So it is, it's a thing that our brain does. We don't make our brain do it. It is another protective mechanism. Our bodies and brains are designed when we're in a threatening situation to either fight or get away.
Fight or flight. I know that.
Fight or flight. Mm-hmm. Yes, we all have it. Nobody does not exist without it. But there are certainly moments where neither one of those things are able to occur. And so the brain has to do something else, which is a disconnect from what is happening. And in those moments, that's, disassociation. They're trying to create a separation from the event that's happening because there's nothing else that can be done. So it is another survival way for them to get through what is occurring. But then that is something that can also show up for them on a day-to-day basis because our brain holds all of these little moments of the experience. And I say it's kind of like puzzle pieces, and there can be thousands of puzzle pieces, conscious and, subconsciously. And then when we come across something, depending on how significant it is to the person and their experience, that could trigger a disassociative moment where then they have a disconnect, which means they're not actually fully in the present, right? And so there's a lot of, concern and danger of not being fully in the present. They could do something and not even be aware of what they're doing, which could be a safety issue, and just, even if it isn't of that level, it's just the fact that they're not engaging with life and having that full experience because their brain is preoccupied with, what that old experience was.
So can that be like a panic attack?
Panic attack could be a part of it, but usually it's more of they just don't feel very present,
Okay.
right? It could kind of feel like foggy in their brain, sort of they might not even feel certain parts of their body. Also there's been lots of description of their head is kind of like a balloon and it's starting to lift off of their body and go away. And that can be a description of disassociation.
See, that happens to me, but I blame menopause.
There's a lot we can blame on menopause.
And hormones and all those things.
I'm not trying to make light of it, but that's, I'm like, why am my head feel so foggy? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm 53. I forgot. And so, okay, so that's with the trauma. And what about, we talked a little bit about anxiety, and we all fight anxiety. And I know that, but when I was in school, Chelsea, I don't know, when you were in school, do you guys remember anxiety being what people talked about, and that it being such an issue? Because I don't. My husband and I talk about it all the time. We don't remember feeling the anxiety that we do today, or just what the kids have to deal with.
Well, just thinking from my own personal experience, I mean, I certainly experienced anxiety related to tests or schoolwork. I was, I say was, I guess I can say am a pretty driven person. But at that time, with school and stuff, it was very important to me to get a certain grade and to do certain things. And so I definitely felt the anxiety, in those areas. But I think a huge difference was nobody asked about it. We didn't talk about it.
Right.
I don't even think it was really on too many people's radar of this could be something that is a problem for somebody. So I do see that is a very positive thing that's happened in our society where, let's talk about it, right? It's a part of health, the same as, when we get a cold or a stomach ache or a headache. It's a part of health, and being aware of what's happening for us, and then learning, it's not necessarily about taking a Tylenol or something, although that, medication can be an asset in some, but there's a lot of other things that can be done to, help ourselves when we're having those difficult moments.
Right.
And I think you are seeing so many more people today. I mean, influential people in the athletes and, pro athletes that are saying, it's okay to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And I think that's half the battle is, maybe we didn't talk about it before. I know for me, when I was in school, I mean, it was a whirlwind, right? We're so busy. We're doing everything we can, and today they're actually recognizing there are things that you need to talk through. And, it was honorable to hear, and even some of the commercials during the Super Bowl were talking about the importance of saying, it's okay that you're not okay.
Exactly. Yes.
I guess you're right, though, because, we didn't talk about it because I guess the mentality in the 70s and the 80s was just suck it up and get it done. And And now, well, I don't know. It's Gen Z, Gen X, the whole thing. We just look at things differently.
Well, I think it helps to create more empathy around when, we can look at somebody else and hear what they're saying and try to understand, okay, that might not be my experience, but I can empathize with what they're experiencing. And, I think we need a lot of empathy right now.
I agree with that 1,000%, especially with the young adults and things in that nature. So as far as coherence counseling, because we are going to go to break here in just a minute. When we get back, let's talk about some of you talk about growing. I would like to talk about some of your plans and what you have in mind and see what we can do to help make that happen, because jumping into being a business owner is very, very brave. I'm learning that myself. And it's not all roses and candy either. So
no, very true. Yeah, no, happy to talk about that.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're getting ready for another break. So everybody stay tuned because we have more BaaD Radio coming up. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Do you know what your sprinkler system did last night? Probably not. So now's a good time to get your irrigation system serviced by Ground Up Property Services today. And be sure to ask for a call with Ground Up about a water sensor too, so your lawn doesn't get too much water. Call 407-468-4295 or visit groundupinc.net. Not too much problem with too much water right now. We haven't had too much rain, but the whole thing was your pipes are going to freeze. Your pipes are going to freeze. And you're like, are they really? I don't know. Did you cover your pipes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of people in Mount Dora, not too far from me, that did have frozen pipes.
No, really?
Yeah. So I was surprised how many people had issues that you wouldn't think.
Oh, goodness. My pipes are underground, so I didn't worry about it. Thank God. So we're here with Chelsea with Florida Energy, Water, and Air, and our featured guest, which is Amy Eshleman with Coherence Counseling. And we've been having a really good conversation about her business and what she's got coming up. So during the break, she started to mention about a new program that she is working on. So let's talk about that.
Great. Yes, thank you. So one of the things that we want to offer at Coherence Counseling is a kind of an introductory getting familiar with the nervous system and the ways to help regulate the nervous system. And so we're putting together right now it appears to be about a 6-week regulate your nervous system program. And so it's not a group, it would be for individual basis, but we have everything very spelled out in terms of how to help you.
Is it a digital program?
No, it would come in.
Okay.
Or it can be like an online appointment, but no, it would be sitting with, a therapist and going through these specific things. Because there's a lot of just with stress management, our system can get very dysregulated. And so just looking at, all the different ways that we can help ourselves ground and mindfulness, meditation, recognizing what's happening in our body and how to respond to that in a way that's going to, promote, I say the word a lot, regulation, but it's very important. So, so that will be coming out soon. So definitely check our website when we will be having that out, and we'll, of course, market that to let others know where it's ready, it's available.
So do you teach people how to meditate?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of use the other tools that are out there and utilize the therapy session for, more individual things because there's so much great information out there for mindfulness and meditation. But, we'll do a little bit in there if that is something that someone is kind of struggling to develop on their own.
Right. So, I mean, I personally don't know how to meditate. Chelsea, do you know how to meditate?
My mind races. I mean, I am busy from the minute I open my eyes till when I close my eyes. And so the time that I have, I don't know that I am specifically pausing long enough to say it's meditation or just reflecting on things that are positive in my life, which is kind of how I look at that.
See, just being around Chelsea calms me down. Whether I don't know what's going on inside of her body or her brain, but she has a very calming voice and things like that. So being around her, and actually you do to a certain sense too, you make me feel comfortable. You make me feel like, I don't want to say motherly, but you know what I mean? It's like you have a very caring energy about you, which is important to me. It makes me feel comfortable. And I think that probably helps you in your, in your practice. So, but I mean, what are some of the other things that you go over with the patients? I think the biggest thing that you touched on that meant something to me is you teach people how to understand their bodies and their minds. So
yeah, I look at, when we're born up till about 2-3 years old, we are fully controlled by our emotions and what's going on. I say neck down because there's a developmental reason for that. The connection between the left and the right side of the brain is not fully formed yet, so information is not really being shared between the two hemispheres of the brain. And so then once that actually becomes developed, then everything goes up to the top part of our body, and everything is about thinking and problem solving and words, and we forget that the rest of our body is also carrying around a lot of information. And so we have many, many years where we're not tapped into that. But it's a wealth of information that we can use to help ourselves tremendously. And so this is maybe in some ways kind of a reteaching, or just sort of getting back to, I don't want to say the basics, but it's not for us to ignore. There is a lot of information in there. There's a book came out many, many years ago, and it is excellent in addressing what is happening in our body, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score. So if anyone is looking for a light, like 600-page read, go ahead.
Just a little light read.
Just a little light reading. But it really was a wonderful tool in identifying all the different ways that our bodies, hold on to information that if we just stay up in our brains, we're not going to be aware of and access. So really educating, clients on that. And there's a lot of different exercises and tools that we do throughout the treatment, as well as what will be in the 6-week program to just help bring more understanding and cohesiveness, for a person so that they can do those things on their own.
Maybe for those listening, I think it's, what are some of those everyday signs? Maybe they don't even know that they need this type of treatment or go through a program like this. What are some of those like everyday signs that it would resonate with them?
Yeah,
because I think that's half the battle. If we don't know, we don't know.
Right. So 3 things come to my mind. The first one is notice your breathing. When we are doing very shallow breathing, we're usually probably in a bit of a higher maybe anxiety state or activated state. So that could indicate that there's not a lot of regulation happening right now. It's when we have those deep breaths in our body and it's a little bit slower that helps us to bring more regulation into our body. Also notice any muscle tension.
Always.
I mean,
always.
Just from any piece, in the neck, because our neck and shoulders can hold a lot of tension. Lower back. If there's things happening in your stomach, right?
Sure,
it's
that
not
makes
just
sense.
about, the connection between our brain and our stomach. I said it's kind of like the expressway. It's not the back roads. It is a direct connection between the two. So we are going, if there's anything that our brain is concerned about, we're probably going to notice that in our stomach if we're attuned.
Oh no! I mean, I'll admit it. Like when I get stressed out, my stomach goes gurgle mode, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not hungry. I'm just stressed out.
Yeah. So those 3 probably the most noticeable ones. I mean, we can get into a lot of other layers of things.
What about sleep? Do a lot of people come to you because they can't turn their brain off at night?
Oh my, yes.
You're like, because even I can even take something to help me sleep. And I try not to because then I get all groggy in the morning. But lately, I've been struggling with being able to turn my brain off when I go to sleep. But you help people like.
Oh yeah, we put together sleep hygiene plans.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Sounds so fancy, but because there's a lot of things, and kind of to piggyback what we had mentioned earlier with social media and all of the bombardment of information. Doing that, and then 5 minutes later, we want to go to sleep.
I'm guilty of doom scrolling.
Probably not a great option for us. I always tell people, I'm like, our brains at bedtime are not like a light switch where we can just, okay, it's off and now go to bed. Think of it more as a dimmer. We got to turn it down and give it some time to, shift into that, this is my relaxed mode and our preparation for it, as well as, what we can actually do while we're sleeping too. There's some little.
I've found some kind of reels that help relax me, and some of them are like cooking. People making things like home improvements, not anything stressful, but kind of like just simple things like that help calm me down. But I'm guilty of getting on my phone at nighttime and until I get tired. But
right.
All right, break time again. So we're going to run, and we'll be right back with more BaaD Radio. So stay tuned. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. And with 4 great locations, there is bound to be one near you of Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. And be sure to check out Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh and never frozen. Frogger's Grill and Bar. Hop in with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
They had a big, huge, our big game promotion where they gave away everything from like large TV screens.
How did it go? Was it fun?
It was great. It was really great. they had a really good turnout and at all 4 locations, and everything went nice and smoothly.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny, some of the calls that I get from them too, because, people like to write negative reviews when they try to do something that they're not allowed to do, like come in and drink without an ID. And so one of the things that Frogger's asked me to do is to help manage those. So when I go in there and somebody writes a bad review because they didn't get served, but they didn't have an ID, then I have to turn around and report that to Google, and then Google will take it down if it's legitimized.
Sure.
But I'm just like, really? You're going to come try to drink without an ID?
No.
I mean, come on, just wake up. But anyway, that was it. Other than that, it was a big success.
Oh, that's great news.
So I'm here with Chelsea Welsh with Florida Energy, Water, and Air, and our guest is Amy Eshleman with Coherence Counseling. And so we were talking about a break about what you wanted to discuss in this last segment, and I know it goes crazy fast, right?
It really does, yes.
People get scared. They're like, "Oh, I can't talk for 40 minutes."
No.
Yeah,
No,
you can.
that's never been a problem, I've been told. Yes, no, I definitely wanted to touch on, the relationship challenges that people can experience, sometimes connected with, trauma moments, but also just, in our day-to-day life, relationships are hard. And, we have so many different things going through our minds and pressures, and we can forget and just not be real sure on how to cultivate having a really strong, great relationship with, anybody in our life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's our partner, spouse, whomever. And so that is definitely a piece that we address also at Coherence Counseling. And, I have worked with some of my clients, partners and spouses when it has been related to trauma, and just providing them with education, right? To understand, when they're having this particular, moment, or they're acting in a particular way, like, here's what it's actually about. Okay. And I found some really great positive with them, like their perspective towards their partner changes, and it softens, and they, okay, like I want to help them with this. Not that it still isn't challenging moments, because it is, but I think when we have a better understanding of, what is actually happening for that person. And then I'm also giving, the partner tools on, how to respond, and, also self-care for them, because it's really, really hard at times. And they can feel very, attacked and get overwhelmed, and, just dealing with their own anxiety with the experience. So, providing self-care, for them on that. So yeah, that's definitely a piece that, we provide at Coherence.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. I know that for a lot of times with husbands, and I talked about menopause before, but I can't even imagine what husbands must be going through as their wives go through this horrible hormonal change, because it's not easy to explain to them in a way that they understand.
Exactly.
That, we're not the same person we were 10 years ago.
Right.
We're like, we are, but we're not, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, we're changing into a new form of ourselves. And that's a lot for husbands to understand, in my opinion. And does that come up a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I've definitely had some conversations where I'm like, okay, we're talking about a life stage moment. Okay.
Life stage moment. Okay.
Let's dive into
life stage moment.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is, I work with a lot of life stage moments of,
what are some other ones?
A person coming out of college, entering their career, getting into the adulting world. We use that term a lot, that, adulting is hard. Yeah. I say that, and I am not in the young adult age. In their days, I'm like, no, not today. Not today. So, helping them navigate that. Then when, families start to happen, and you're navigating being, maybe a couple, and now there's children in the mix. And so lots of parenting conversations. Mm-hmm. And then as, people near retirement, and that change in life, that's another big, life stage change. And as well as, people who are, getting to the later years of their life, and, those things that they have to kind of start to embrace a little bit more.
Yeah, Tom and I had that conversation yesterday, and it's one of the first times that we actually were like, you know what, this is a part of life. We need to talk about this stuff, and we need to have a plan in place, and it's hard. God, it's hard.
Because I think as you get older, you don't, I physically don't believe that I'm my age.
Right.
I know, I don't either.
No, I don't
Mentally,
either.
I'm like, I'm not going to be 51 years old. There's no way.
When's your birthday?
June.
Okay.
And so in my mind, I'm like, I'm not that. I still am sharp. I think differently, but my body, right, thinks differently. Ask Stefan, he'll laugh. But I think as we go through all those things, it's hard because we don't know how to deal with those changing or those life stage moments.
Definitely.
And to do it as well as we can with understanding and empathy, and it's hard regardless. It doesn't have to be harder.
Right. So your sessions, are they usually set up like once a week, twice a week? How does somebody go about starting working with you?
Sure. So generally the sessions are either once a week or maybe once every other week. It kind of depends on what the need is and what is happening for the client. And they can be both in-person and virtual appointments. So we do offer that. In terms of how to go about finding us, I would recommend, check out the website. There's a wealth of information on there. We do offer a free 20-minute consultation to really, help understand what you're looking for and how we can, be a good fit. And if we're not, we'll help connect you with a place that would be a good fit. But
that's nice. Yeah.
That's just one of the things if it's not me, I want to help a person get connected to where it's going to be best for them. And occasionally that does come up, but usually, it's something that we can help assist with.
Yeah.
So you can make your own appointment online. We have access to that. So you can pick times for either myself or the other therapist. And then as we grow, the additional therapists that will be on there. And if you're looking for individual, couples, or family work, we have all of those options available. Or if you just want to start off with a consultation because you want to gather a little bit more information, happy to do that. No pressure, with that.
Go ahead and give everybody the email and go ahead and spell it out too.
Sure. So the website is coherencecounseling.com. COHERENCE counseling, COUNSELING.com. And we are located on Alafaya Trail in Orlando, between UCF and Waterford Lakes, if you're familiar with that area. And phone number where you could either text or call us is 407-603-1290.
And go ahead and go over the whole list of services right there that you have.
Sure. We specialize in the treatment of trauma, as we've been talking about. Anxiety does not have to be related to trauma. Depression, relationship attachment issues, and also stress management.
And then you're also expanding, and you'll be picking up one more therapist, correct?
I am looking and interested in picking up several.
Okay.
So we'll see as things, unveil and opportunities arise. Looking to grow.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. And Chelsea, go ahead and give all your contact information.
Yeah,
and like I said, remind how to get that water test.
Yeah, we are definitely excited about coming out to the home and giving them the free water test for all of our homeowners. Go to myfiwa.com. We're happy to educate you through that process. And again, go through that water test, which is so important to our health, our wellness. And it's something that we're really proud that we get to do for our local community.
I love it. And just give a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. And thank you for tuning in. Remember, everyone, to support local.